and welcome to the Victorian Toffee Show. We've got all the lads back, and we've also got a special guest, Ari.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me on.
No worries, no worries.
Welcome.
Now, tell
Bye-bye.
us your journey of being an Everton supporter.
Okay, so here we go. To be honest, I'm actually quite embarrassed about this, but until I was around 12 or 13, I actually went for Arsenal because a lot of my friends at the time were Arsenal fans, and I didn't really have a team or anything. So I started following them. But then, I don't know, when I was around 12 and 13, like I was really into it, and then I lost my passion for it. I was completely over it. I wasn't watching any games anymore, and everything like that. Yeah, and I was a bit over it, and I was really into the Socceroos at the time. I was pretty obsessed with them at that point in my life. And I really wanted to get back into soccer, into the EPL, and I saw that Everton actually had two Australians at the time. So it wasn't just Tim Cahill, but Lucas Neal was also there. I started watching a few Everton games. I remember one of the earliest Everton games I saw was, I think Fellaini was having a blinder, and then I think he may have broken his leg or something. He went off in a stretcher. I remember watching that at like 14 years old or something at like 2 a.m. And I don't know, just from there, I just started watching more and more Everton games and then got really into it. And my friend David Rubin, I think some of you have met him.
Yeah.
He also started going for Everton. So together we went on the journey together. And now I'm completely obsessed. I watch every game live. I'm on Twitter 24/7 reading about Everton, on Toffee TV all the time. I'm just anything Everton. I'm pretty obsessed with. So I'm happy where my life's taken me. It would have been pretty disappointing as well being an Arsenal fan, because they're just as they let you down just as much as Everton lets us down. But I'm glad to be a Toffee. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. What's been your favorite game you've watched so far?
Do you mean at the bar, or do you mean just in general?
In general. Like, what's the game that you always look back and go, man, that was a great game, or memorable?
Yeah, so a few of them come to mind. I think 4-0 against City was probably one of my favorite.
Yeah.
That was just the perfect game. I remember there was a 3-3 against United back in would have been 2000. I don't even remember, but the 3-3 game, I loved that. I loved the 2-0 against City when Jelavic scored in the last minute.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Where someone screamed in the crowd just effing hit it, lad. I remember that. So that's a few that come to mind. But in recent history, obviously that Chelsea game that we watched at the bar earlier on in the year, the 3-1 win, Duncan Ferguson taking over, just the passion in that game, and it was just so fun being with all you lads there. And just another one just at the bar as well was actually my second favorite at the bar was actually another 3-1 against Chelsea. It was Naismith's perfect
the perfect hat trick. Oh, that's right, you were there. Yeah. Oh, that was a fantastic night.
I remember that game. So the 3-1 against Chelsea at the bar, there's nothing better. Happened twice, and it's great.
I remember watching that 3-1 game with a couple of mates, and I think Naismith actually started on the bench and came on when Morales got injured in the first 20 or so. And when Morales got injured, I was saying to my mates that I was watching the game with, "Oh, please don't let him bring on Naismith. Please don't bring on Naismith." And then he came on and scored a perfect hat trick.
It was amazing. I loved it.
That was oh gosh, because we were at the Crafty Squire on Russell Street here in Melbourne, and we had one area allocated to us, and the other area was all Chelsea supporters, and oh boy, they were not happy at the end. There are a few people stirring them up and stuff, so we had to make sure no, we're all good, nothing's gonna start and all that. But oh man, that walk to the train station, just incredible. Like, it was just so good to see, and like seeing performances like that, and then like the next game, I'm not too sure who we played, but like just the inconsistencies that the team even still struggles today happens.
Everton that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. The Everton that. But yeah, no, that's great memories, and those are some great games. So yeah, speaking of games, we'll get into them. So we'll review the Sheffield United game. Nick, what were your thoughts on the 1-0 win?
Tale of two halves. I thought it was a bit of a weird one formation-wise. It was quite clear from pretty much minute one that we were playing a 4-2-3-1 as opposed to a 4-4-2. I thought positives. Richarlison was absolutely fantastic in filling in for his teammates when people went forward. I think in a narrow formation like that, I think it's important that your forward players interchange and switch around and cover each other when someone drops deep or whatever it might be. There's one little gripe that comes from a positive, and we had a really, really good move in, I think, the 20th minute or 25th minute around that time, where it was just like the Everton that we all hoped we would be this season, where we were passing it around. Tom Davis dropped deep to receive the ball and then gave it off. He made a decent 4-yard pass, which is a great thing for Tom this season. And Walcott was always there, and the move consisted of Dominic Calvert-Lewin coming back, being hungry, dropping for the ball, Richarlison then filling in for him up front, and then Walcott and Sigurdsson played a really nice 1-2. And I thought, when the move was materialising, there was all this space on the far left-hand side that was opening, and it was absolutely made for Lucas Dean to run in and to the back post. And I thought all this good work was happening, and I thought the really good teams, he would be there. And Walcott ended up putting in a really good ball, but there was no one there on that left post. And I thought it was a really fantastic move, but I thought that's sort of the difference, really, isn't it? I thought, if you had a Robertson there, or Man City or whoever it might be, they'd have that left winger overlapping, because a 4-2-3-1 is quite a narrow formation. So you need the right and the left wings bombing forward to covering the spaces when your forward drops deep to receive the ball. So it was a really good move, and it just was missing that last thing. But I thought overall, second half were a lot better. I thought Richarlison was great. I thought Walcott, props to him, was really good as well. Andre Gomez was pinging 40, 50-yard passes again, which is what we need him to be doing. And look, it's a 1-0 win against a really tough side, so I guess it's all good. But just that one move just sort of highlighted where we're just missing the finishing touch, I thought.
It really showed that this formation really worked for me. That I don't know, it just seemed like it really reminded me of a Moyes hard fought 1-0 win, like. Some players were, getting stuck amongst it and all that. Some certain calls not being called by the ref against, our players a fair bit. I think at one point, it might have been, was it Branthwaite who got his ankle stood on?
Yeah. It was Digne.
Oh, Digne. Yeah, Digne got his ankle stood on, and nothing was really, nothing happened with that.
That was strange, yeah.
Yeah. But no, for me, I just thought it was a really good performance and much better, and hopefully, this can lead up to something good in the next game and in the future. So, Chris, what about you?
I thought, like Nick said, it was a game of two halves. I think Keane and Braithwaite together were pretty good. They were pretty tight generally for most of the game. Props to Michael Keane. Since the restart from coronavirus, he's been well and truly our best player in my opinion. He's probably saved his Everton career, to be honest, because he was on the outer, and I think he's now overtaken Yerry Mina. Yeah, there's been some injuries there, but I think moving forward, he's going to be a chance to play some games, as well as be on the bench with Branthwaite, and hopefully we're bringing in a new centre back there too. So that were the positives. I think Sidibe had an okay game as well, especially for a lad who knows he's not going to stay. He knows his loan is over, so he still had quite a good crack. For a game that was a danger game for us, Sheffield had a lot to play for. They were still a chance for Europe. They were the Everton of the last couple of weeks, really. They had something to play for and didn't really rock up and looked like they were a deer in the headlights. So props to Carlo. He set the team up really well. Richarlison is an absolute gem, and if I was Mashuri, I'd be giving him whatever he wants every week to stay, because if one of those big European clubs comes a knocking, he's the type of player that's ambitious. I wouldn't be surprised if he wanted to go. Your big teams, PSG's been rumoured, even some of the Italian sides. So hopefully we can keep a hold of him, because if you build a team around him, he's quick, he works really hard, he's really good in the air. I just think, we'll go places. I thought it was really cool. Tim Cahill's tweet to him, and his response back was really Everton. And I think, he does a lot for the fans, and he definitely loves the fans a lot. And little things like that are quite good. But overall, it was a positive result in what was a danger game. So happy with the win, and that ends Sheffield's run at Europe, and bring on the next one. We've got one more to go, and anything can happen, and a lot of positive out of it in the end.
Yeah, no, that's that's right. Yeah, a lot of positives. Ari, we'll get your take.
Yeah, so just on Richarlison there, I saw this stat that he has more goals in his first 2 seasons at Everton than Lukaku had at his first 2 seasons at Everton already, which is unbelievable. We call Lukaku our saviour, and Richarlison has already started off with better stats, and he's as young as Lukaku was when he was at Everton as well. So it's pretty amazing and pretty awesome to look forward to. So that's just a great start. But just on the game, it was interesting because we changed our formation, like Nick said, to 4-2-3-1, and we have been playing 4-4-2 until now. And Ancelotti has been saying that 4-4-2 suits us better. But it was pretty clear in this game that we played much better than we have in the past few weeks at least. And it makes me think maybe 4-2-3-1 actually does suit us better, and we're playing well with 4-4-2 because of the bounce of a new manager. And we're just, I don't know, it might have been the new manager rather than the formation that was making us play well. Because I personally, I don't know, just basing off the last game, I really think the 4-2-3-1 suits us better. And Sigurdsson did have a good game.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Sigurdsson.
Much better.
Yeah, he doesn't have a good game in when he is just with one other midfielder. I think he really needs to play as that number 10 to have a good game. But I think a lot of our players suit the 4-2-3-1 better than the 4-4-2. So it's interesting what we're going to do from now on in terms of what formation Carlo is going to choose. But yeah, overall, great game, and I'm looking for, it's amazing how much better mood everyone's in after a win.
That's right. I was going to say.
Yeah.
Is this our first recorded win? I think so.
Yeah.
It's either draws or a loss.
Yeah, everyone's optimistic again. It's great.
Yeah, I still had a whinge about a move and a player not overlapping, but hey, that's
other than that, yeah. Oh, fantastic. And Tim, we'll finish with you.
Yeah, well, look, I've been saying I was looking forward to filming a show after a win, but unfortunately, this is not going to be the most positive spin on that win. For me, this is a win that raised a lot of questions, more than anything else. So, firstly, to touch on what Ari finished on there, the formation. I think obviously the players are going to be more suited to a 4-2-3-1 because that's what the squad was formed to play. This is a squad that was formed by Marco Silva and Brands to play that formation that Silva wanted to play. Now, what I did find is the 4-4-2 that Ancelotti seems to prefer, although he's not tactically inflexible like Marco Silva was. So although he prefers 4-4-2, he's shown even before this game that he's able to mix it up. A few times he went to 3 at the back. Granted, it didn't work at Wolves, but he then changed it at half time. But I guess the questions, it raises a few questions for me. Like, okay, so we've gone to 4-2-3-1. We've played really well. I think we were a bit leaky defensively, more so than we are in a 4-4-2. I think a better team puts a few goals past us. They certainly had some half chances.
They did.
As a positive, Braithwaite had a few really good blocks in there. And Chris, just to touch on something you were saying about buying a new centre back, given the form of Michael Keane now, Yerry Mina is solid. Then you've got Holgate as well. Add in Branthwaite. That's 4 centre-backs that could start next season. Do you really think we need money on a centre-back?
I think Yerry Mina might be on the way out. There's strong rumours that he's not settled in the UK, and there's a few offers coming from teams like Boca Juniors and the like, which will send him back to South America. So I think of the centre-backs, I could see one of them going out, and maybe Branthwaite goes out on loan possibly, but I think they just want to shore up that defence. I think the long-term goal is Holgate and somebody, but who is the story? It could well be Holgate and Branthwaite. That would be really good with Keane on the bench, and then possibly someone else, a cheaper centre back.
Mina in the recovery room.
Yeah, well, that's it. But who knows? It depends on who's for sale and who we're a chance to get. If we can get someone good, then go for it. But I just don't think they're going to settle on someone bang average now. I think, like you said, Branthwaite emerging probably values that position. We want someone a bit better than we might have gone for now.
Can I just butt in there for a sec? Yeah, I think with Michael Keane, yes, he is playing well now, but he's done this to us before. Like, he has been in really good form before, and then he goes in a run of terrible form. And I think it's happened a few times. I think for his first season with us, he was in great form. Second season, absolutely terrible. And then he's gone in good and bad patches the whole way. Like, to me, although he's been great recently, I don't fully trust him at the moment. I think he's too inconsistent to be our permanent centre back there. And that's why I'd prefer getting in someone like Gabriel if we can. But yeah, obviously it's not the biggest issue we have at the moment. I think centre mid's a bigger issue, but but I would like to get another centre back.
And I think, the other thing I noticed as well, all these questions that got thrown up for me for this win, which I should mention, obviously, great to get a win against, top 6 opposition. And although we're not fighting for Europe ourselves, we're definitely having a say in which teams are and come this weekend, which teams get relegated too. Everton, that isn't it? We can't do it ourselves, but we can certainly control what other teams do. So yeah, look, I think there were some positives. Gomez was definitely a big positive. And I think I might have mentioned last week that I feel like he plays better in a 3-man midfield. And obviously Sigurdsson was much more accomplished in his 10 role. But my worry about that is those 2 players, like Nick, you made a list of sort of 4 players last week that are untouchable in the squad, which I think was Digne, Holgate, Richarlison, and potentially DCL, I think. Yeah, and I agree with that. I'd probably say DCL's perhaps a little lower than those 3, only because of the Marcus, whether he can play by himself.
He's probably the most out of the 4, DCL.
Yeah, that's right. But I think as well as Sigurdsson and Gomez played in that 4-2-3-1, I don't think that immediately escalates them to that status of players you build a team around. So I don't think next season Carlo is going to go in with a 4-2-3-1 going Gomez and Sigurdsson are our main men. Not also when you consider Sigurdsson's the wrong side of 30. Pickford's distribution, I thought, was really, really good in this game. I thought that made a huge difference to our attacking tempo. Every time he got the ball, he was looking to ping it back out as quickly as he could, either with throws or kicks. And that was actually one of the main reasons we recruited him, was for his distribution.
That's right. Yeah.
So it was good to see him use it. Yeah, it was really good to see him use it in this game rather than diving on the ball, slowing it down, rolling it out to a defender. I can see you've got something to add there.
Laughing at the camera. Yeah, jeez.
Just to quickly button on Pickford. Yes, I know I'm taking up your time, but
no, you're right.
he was so flappy again in that game. I mean, cross.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
I'm still not convinced by him. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah. No, I agree. He was flappy. Very not the most commanding bloke when he's coming out to claim a corner, which is why I only highlighted his distribution as a positive. His T-Rex arms. And I think just the other thing that was a positive but also raised questions for me was Gomez. So that's the sort of game that we want to see Gomez play every week, right? Why can't he then? Why can't he play like that every week? So there are excuses there for him. So I was sort of talking to another mate today, and I said I guess the polite thing to say is that, well, he's had a heart injury. He's come back from that injury at the resumption of a COVID-interrupted season where the games have come thick and fast, and he's played a lot of those games. His rest was last week. Maybe it's not a coincidence that he didn't play last week and this week he played well. Maybe it was a change of formation. My concern is that it's a mental thing for him. I feel like if the game's not being played exactly the way he wants it to play, he kind of bottles it and sort of downs tools a little bit. Whereas this game suited him and we saw him pinging those passes. And one of the guys mentioned in the WhatsApp group, which I saw that really surprised me as well, he challenged someone on the touchline and the ball went forward and he actually won a foot race against this other player to get to the ball.
Yeah, that's right.
And put that cross and perfectly put it into Calvert-Lewin's path, who unfortunately his first touch was a little heavy. But yeah, so I guess, look, ultimately good win, but it raised a lot of questions for me around Gomez's mentality. And, where do we go from here? And I guess that age-old question after a win of why can't they do that every week?
That's right. Yeah.
What about yours, Andy? What was your take on the game?
Oh, well, like I was just saying before, no, I thought, it's a very David Moyes type 1-0 away win. Players got stuck into each other and a few decisions were a bit questionable, as always. But I think that's probably all up this season. I think, and just like, with VAR and all that, it's just been real. I don't know, I found the officiating has been really messy.
Horrid.
Yeah. Horrid as well. Yeah.
We've still only had one penalty all season.
Yeah.
Well, Aston Villa are going to stay up on the back of a goal that was not given, and it's they technically probably going to stay up based on that. There's a lot of money in coming up and going down.
Going down, yeah. That's
Premier
true.
League to get something like that wrong.
Yeah.
It's huge.
It definitely has to be reviewed or looked at, because it's just something's not right. It's just not working the way it should be. Because if we can see the correct decision on TV in another country, but the referee there can't, and the guys who look at the screens, they still can't, then clearly there's something wrong. But yeah, no. Great to see Richarlison score. Great header. We got to see the pigeon dance. And yeah, no, I thought it was really good performance. So yeah, with that, we'll move on to the Bournemouth game. Ari, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, well, I didn't think we would get in a position where they would have a lot to play for, but they obviously do right now. It's going to be a bit tougher for us than I thought it would. But I don't know. I'm pretty encouraged after this week's game, especially playing in the 4-3-1. I think they'll be pretty positive going out of that game and into this game. And I think they'll want to finish the season off strong. I'm sure Carlo is going to want them to finish off strong, especially since a lot of them are playing to be in Carlo's plans. So I think I'm always confident of a win, no matter who we're playing. But I'm quite confident. I don't think they're a very good side. I think we're based off that last game, we're playing a bit better. So I'm confident of a win. I just want to add just one more thing about Gomez. I do think I think he played a better game because of the 4-2-3-1. But in addition to that, I think it's also because the winger was Richarlison, and it wasn't Iwobi, and it wasn't whoever else had been playing on the wing. It was Richarlison who's there for the ball, who's ready to make a sprint. And I think Gomez just trusts that more than he would have maybe an Iwobi or a Bernard. So I think that was also a factor there. But yeah, but in saying that, I think we should beat Bournemouth.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'll go here. I think it'll be a nice, comfortable farewell win, maybe like a 3-0, 3-1 maybe. But yeah, I think if they just stick to, keep that momentum going, maybe just put the same team, everything the same, and just really go for it. Like, you know, we're not playing for anything. They'll be going full steam ahead. So, we should match that and just, go after them and like, finish games off when they're there. Like, even going back to the Sheffield game, like there were chances where just, just get that second goal, end it. Like just, get that distance. And that's something that I think they would have really got through training this week, to really just get that momentum with them and get that big win, hopefully. Nick?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, obviously, really encouraging signs against Sheffield United, and they're the kind of teams that we need to be breaking down and getting a positive result and keeping a clean sheet against. I think Bournemouth, obviously, as everyone's mentioned, have got something to play for, which is going to make it tough. It's going to make it really, really tough. The only thing we've really got to play for is finishing above Southampton, which is kind of the hallmark of our season, really, isn't it? That's what it's all boiled down to, finishing 11th instead of 12th. But yeah, I think it's going to be tough. I think I'd like to say that we should beat Bournemouth. Bournemouth are not a very good side. They don't have the same players that we have, and this season they've been found out eventually that they can be scored against. They don't really have anything attacking wise to claw themselves back in. So I think we're going to win the game. I think we'll probably score 2 or 3 and probably concede 1. So 2 or 3-1. I think I'll go for.
Have we won a game by more than 2 goals this year? I don't think so.
Well, now's the time to start.
Yeah.
Last game of the season, you might as well.
It doesn't matter at all, but yeah.
Chris?
I'm not actually confident going into this game. Bournemouth it's so tight down the bottom now that anything can happen. And, normally away from home on the final day is going to be horrid, but there's no fans. So, I think they're going to come into the game, and, Eddie Howe seems the type of manager that might be able to get them started really quick. We're generally slow starters. So I think after 10 minutes of caginess, if we're not on the front foot, it could be quite a long day. If they happen to nab an early goal, it's going to be a very, very nervy game. For them, we might be a chance to get one, but the longer the game goes 0-0, the more they're going to have to open up, the more they're going to have to play quick and try and, score a goal, the more they're going to have to use attacking changes. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we nab it 1-0 late or we get it, 2 or 3-0 late as well. I know Bournemouth have copped a lot of goals this season, but, they're fighting for their life in the Premier League, and they've got a lot of grifting players that work their ass off. That they're not the greatest footballers technically, but they work hard for the shirt. So I think that sort of emotion could be difficult to play against. So the empty stadium is the big one for me. If it was a full stadium, I think we beat them 3-0 hands down, because we take them out of the game straight away. But while there's no fans there, it's anyone's game. But hopefully we can just show something. I'd love to see another 90 minutes from Branthwaite. I know Carlo only made 2 subs in the last game, so maybe give some of the other younger guys a few more minutes towards the end. Especially if we're up. But all in all, it'd be good to finish the season on a high. Hopefully we can, and Bournemouth probably deserve to get relegated. They've had a few lucky escapes the last few seasons, so it's probably best for them to go down. And generally, we see Bournemouth as a sort of a championship side club. So good luck to them, but I think they're going down.
Oh. And Tim?
Yeah, look, I'd like to think that we can finish the season unbeaten at home under Carlo. So whether that's a win or a draw, I don't think we'll lose this game. Hopefully, I hope that we thrash them, because I've never forgiven them for when that Adam Smith had a go at Richarlison, and then he went back with a little headbutt and got sent off and banned for 3 games.
Oh my God.
And that was the weakest sending off I've ever seen in my life. So ever since then, I've really disliked Bournemouth. Sorry?
I said, you leave the pigeon alone.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All he was doing was he pigeon move. But I think, also as a byproduct of Bournemouth going down, maybe that Nathan Archie might have a little relegation clause in his contract, and where we are in all sort of in agreement that we want another central defender, and he's a left-footed one, which we don't have, who can play out of defence. So, let's relegate them and take... Sorry?
Braithwaite's left-footed. I should add that. He's
okay.
very, very, very left-footed, which is good.
Well, let's relegate them anyway and see if we can activate that clause and take one of their players. I guess the one thing that nobody's mentioned yet, who I'd like to see in the lineup, is Leighton Baines. Yet to sign a contract for next season, so it could very well be the last time we see him in an Everton shirt.
Fingers crossed he stays. One more season.
I think if he was going to stay, he would have signed already. I think he's gone.
Yeah, personally. I think he's gone.
I think either way, with the uncertainty, like obviously probably those at the club know more.
Yeah.
But with the uncertainty, I think it's only fitting to give a fantastic servant and personally one of my all-time favourite players a goodbye game, albeit in front of no fans. But that's my tip. So a draw or a win, but really let's relegate them and steal their best player.
Fair enough. So with that, we're gonna talk about the final day. The relegation spots, European spots. Who wants to start us off?
I'll go with the relegation spots.
All right.
I think Watford are down. I think that what has happened at that club? We know that they're a basket case anyway, but to get rid of their manager, who has done actually a really good job in getting them to the position they were in, to sack him, and then go into the last two games, which are against Man City, which they completely capitulated against, and then to have an away game at Arsenal to save themselves, I think is an absolute joke of a decision by their owners. And I think that they've got a decent-ish squad, and they seem like a lot of bottle jobs, to be honest. Similar situation on a smaller scale to us, and they've got probably a lot of players who probably think that they're better than the club, and probably need to move on. I reckon
the thought process is probably sack the manager, get a new one in, the players will be hyped, and then hopefully win a few games. But I think that was the right approach.
That probably was the idea. Although I think there may have been something. I think I said last week. I think there may be something said behind closed doors that we don't know what's happened. We know that Pearson's a bit of a head case.
I have heard there was a bit of a bust up between Pearson and the ownership of the game before that, after the game. So.
I can imagine that to be true. Pearson comes across like that kind of guy. So anyway, it is what it is. I think Watford are down, unfortunately. The only thing that goes in their favour is that how much they lose by, because the goal difference is only. So for example, if we go and beat Bournemouth by 2 or 3, and then Villa go to West Ham and get beaten by 2 or 3, but Watford only lose 1-0, then Watford actually randomly stay up. So it's those type things. I do think, however, Watford are going to go and get stuffed. So I think they're down. I think Bournemouth probably, they need a positive result against us, don't they? And that's plausible in the way that we play. And Villa, obviously the best thing that's happened to Villa is West Ham nicking a point at Man United, because now West Ham don't really have anything to play for. You could easily foresee Villa with their tails up going there and getting a result. And even if they don't, they're probably safe. So I do think it's probably going to stay exactly how it is. I think Villa will survive. I think Bournemouth and Watford are gone.
I think you're probably right, but I think there's two things to consider. One of them is, three things. Obviously, one of them is us actually beating Bournemouth, because then they'll be on the same points. I think obviously Villa playing West Ham. If Villa and West Ham owners haven't been in a cabin smoking a peace pipe for the last week and working out some handshake deal so that Villa can stay up, then absolute madness if they haven't done that. But don't forget Arsenal as well. My Arsenal friend Warren reminded me of this today. A week later, they're playing Chelsea in the FA Cup final to make it into Europa League, which is their only chance. Which is their only chance of making it into Europa League. So they're very likely to field a very weak team against Watford.
I did not consider that. That is great insight.
So I based on that, I would actually say it'll be Norwich, Bournemouth, and Villa that are going down, personally.
Yeah, I agree with what you've just said there, Tim. I think Arsenal are it doesn't matter whether they win or lose. It's not going to change their position on the table. They've got Europa League chance through any European football through FA Cup. I think they're going to put the queue in the rack. And Mikel Arteta's come from City. He's learned under Pep, play the kids. And I think Watford nicked that game and Villa go down just, it actually could be goal difference. I could see Villa and Watford both winning, and it just be who wins by more to keep them up. But it's going to be a good last day. Even Bournemouth score early against us. That'll put their goal difference equal with Villa. So it could fluctuate between the three of them, for the whole 90 minutes, which will.
If the last couple of seasons have taught us anything, mate, it's if Bournemouth score early against us, we do not win that game.
No.
Yeah. No, it's going to be a good last day for people, for players, fans that don't really have much else to watch. Our team's not going to change position on the table too much anyway, so good watching for us in those games. I wish Optus Sports had, like Foxtel did back in the day, where you could watch multiple games across the screen, see what's going on. I remember the year City won the league for the first time, watching multiple games at once and flicking between. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting final day, but I think Norwich, Bournemouth and Villa go down for me. I think Watford. Does anybody else think they would have got done 4-0 if they had Pearson in charge? They would have probably had a little bit more. I don't know. He might have had issues going on behind the scenes, but I think he would have locked them down a little bit better than getting done 4-0. So
they certainly hadn't capitulated like that with him since
Correct.
He's been at the helm all season. So you've got to think it's played a part, definitely.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to put a sneaky bet on Watford win 2-0 and Troy Deeney to score 2 goals. He always seems to score goals when they need him in big games.
Yeah.
So that's my tip on that, and them to stay up. And I like Deulofeu. I'd like to see him still in the Premier League. So I know he's injured, but I think Watford stay up on the back of that.
Ari, what are your thoughts on their relegation?
Yeah, I personally think it'll stay as it is. I can't see Arsenal losing. I think he's a good manager, and even though they've had some bad results recently, I think they'll do enough to beat Watford, even if they are resting a few players. I don't think he's going to want to lose his last game of the season. So I think it'll stay as it is, and I'd also like to see Watford go down. They've created like this sort of rivalry with us because of Marco Silva and Richarlison and all that. So I don't love Watford. I would like to see them go down. So I think it'll stay as it is, and Villa will survive.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I just think looking at it now, as it is, it's just going to stay as it is, and Watford, Bournemouth, and Norwich will go down for me.
It is odd though. I don't think it's happened in quite some time. Not that I can remember that you've got between Villa and Watford, they could both lose, but Watford could still
survive.
Jump on goal difference. So I think that I think it's plausible that they will both lose. I think Bournemouth are probably down because I don't think they're going to get I don't think they're going to get a bigger win against us than what they need to. But yeah, it is plausible that they could both lose, but it depends on who loses by more. So I guess it's anyone's guess, really. But yeah, I do think it will stay the same, but who knows? It's 50-50.
It certainly is exciting, though, isn't it? When you've got, one team on 31 points minus 27, another team on 34 minus 27, and another team on 34 minus 26. I mean, it does make
what are the odds?
Exciting last day. Yeah. And then what about yourself, Andy? Oh, you already said.
I've said, yeah. Have you said yours, Tim?
Yes, yeah. I was just looking at those Europa League spots because that's another little.
Let's discuss.
Another little tasty treat on the day. So obviously, I think the main fixture that I'm probably going to watch because I think it's going to be the most interesting is not Everton Bournemouth, unfortunately. It will probably be Leicester Man United because, there's a lot riding on that. And, such a similar situation in that top six as there is in the bottom three. You've got United on 63 points plus 28, Chelsea on 63 plus 13, and that goal difference could turn out to hurt them. Leicester on 62 plus 28, which makes United and Leicester virtually, like if they both draw and Chelsea loses, then they can actually still both make it. So there's so many scenarios there. And obviously Wolves and Tottenham have a lot to fight for because seventh spot is not guaranteed for Europa League unless Chelsea win the FA Cup.
Okay.
So seventh spot won't get you Europa League if Arsenal win the FA Cup. So really the fight is on for sixth as well. There's a lot of possible.
Are we rooting for Leicester against Man United? I am.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
would
so.
I
guess so. I mean,
no matter what, if Leicester win, Leicester qualify for the Champions League.
That's right. Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what happens in the Chelsea game. They either finish third or fourth, don't they, Leicester? So, yeah, if basically Leicester Man United is do or die, essentially. So if Leicester wins qualify, and that's it, and I'll be rooting for them.
I would love to see Leicester win, but everything's telling me that United have it. But I'm hoping Leicester get through.
United have been on a good little run of late under Ole Gunnar. Bruno Fernandes has been phenomenal since the restart.
And I didn't even realise until the other week, like Paul Pogba's just quietly slipped back into the United team since the restart and has been going really well. Like he's kept a really low profile, especially if your name is Paul Pogba. And I've watched a few highlights of it. Like, oh, look at Pogba. And so I
don't even notice him in games at the moment because everybody around him is doing so well. He's not at the moment. He's not the showpiece, so that's why he's quiet. But I wouldn't be surprised if United try and lock that game down and keep that. I think the Premier League and I think the football world wants United in Champions League again. Everybody knows their history they've got in it, so I think the owners will be definitely on Ollie about making sure they get into that. I'd love to see Leicester win. I think if Leicester win and go into the Champions League, it probably brings them back down a peg next season in the Premier League with extra games and things like that. So might make them a little bit easier to finish higher than next season. But it's so many scenarios that can happen again. There's been the last few years, it's been done and dusted a couple of games before the end. But this year, with all the COVID stuff and, these battles have gone hidden, really. Everyone's sort of forgotten about them till now. So there's going to be a lot. I think Goal Rush is what I'm going to watch on Sunday because it's going to be covering everything. And I've got a feeling there's going to be goals galore because teams are going to be going for it, trying to get whatever position they can. And I think the table's going to be changing every sort of 5 or 10 minutes, which for a neutral like us, because our game's pretty done and dusted, I think it's going to be some fun football, which will be good.
Yeah, I just want to say what a well-run club Leicester is. They won the league. They got all their good players taken away from them, and yet they're still a few years later challenging for Champions League. Like, we have just been mid-table mediocre for all these years. They've come from the bottom, and they've completely surpassed us. Like, really good on them. Yeah, no, they're a great club. Nick and I, we found out, this year we were both at that away game back in 2018. Yeah. It's a great stadium. People are really nice. And the place just buzzes. And it gets annoying with those clappers that they have. But,
they're just happy to be there. They're happy to be there. They've still got this aura of a club. Leicester traditionally and historically have been in and around the Premier League. But I think in the last sort of few years, they've come up and they've still got this sort of new club to the Premier League vibe about them, and that they're just excited to be there, happy to, they probably can't believe what they're doing. That they've won the league, right. They're in the hunt for the Champions League, and that away day. I mean, it was great for more than one reason.
Yeah.
Obviously, we were right behind Sigurdsson. It's before we knew each other, but Sigurdsson's goal, we were probably in the same row or very close to each other. also Leicester's a great city. Really, really good fans. Good football in place. So I'd like to see them do well. But, no animosity towards Leicester. I think they deserve their success. They've got a great
Definitely.
side. I really hope they do it because no one wants to see Man United in the Champions League apart from the powers that be.
And Sky
I think,
Sports.
yeah, that's right. And Ari, you can probably agree with me on this, given your past Arsenal history, which we won't ever mention again. But anyway, I would love to see Spuds miss out on European football.
I was just saying I completely agree with that. I would love them to miss out.
Yeah, as I said earlier, one of my good mates goes for Arsenal, so that's sort of giving me a very helping hand in terms of disliking everything Tottenham. But then the smiling assassin broke Gomez's leg, and now I'm well off him. Throw Jose Mourinho in there, and it's a perfect storm of hatred. So,
So I guess you're not going to take,
Yeah.
you're not going to watch the All of Nothing documentary on Amazon that comes out
I
soon?
think that'll be great, though. I think if Spurs miss out on Europe, the change room after the game, Amazon filming Mourinho could be some of the best footage you're ever going to see. I think it'll be brilliant. So
fair point.
I'm on that. I'm on Spurs to miss Europe and All or Nothing's final episode to be amazing.
Fair point. Fair point.
Yeah.
So should we talk transfers now?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Pretty-
That's it. Yeah.
Ari, start us off. Like all this talk about, is it Hoberg?
I think it's
Yeah, Emmanuel
Højbjerg.
Højbjerg.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know. Like, there's reports that it's confirmed. There's reports that that they're just trying to get a better deal from Tottenham. I don't know where it stands at the moment, but I would definitely take him. And I've had a few discussions with people. A lot of people think that 25 million is too much for a player on the last year of the contract, which might be true. But to me, he's a 24-year-old, so he's pretty young. He's proven in the EPL. He has a lot of better stats than our current midfield. And like, if we were trying to find someone that good for around 25 million, I don't think we would. I think it's a blessing that he's on last year of the contract because we can get him somewhat cheaper than if we were getting someone else. And if we look at like what we've spent in recent history on like Balassi, Klaassen, or Iwobi, all 30 million, I think, well, not that I've watched him too much, but from what I've heard, it looks like a much better purchase than them. So I'd happily pay the 25 million. If not, I'm sure we'll look at other candidates for the centre mid spot. I'm not too worried. I have a bit of trust in the board, even though they've had some shockers.
Yeah.
Putting it mildly.
Yeah, I would personally love Idrissa Gueye. Idrissa Gueye would be my preference. I just think he's an unbelievable player. I would definitely take him back in a heartbeat, even though his age. But yeah, I thought Højbjerg would be a good deal for 25 million personally.
I just had a quick look again on Twitter, and it's still the same reports that Southampton have accepted our bid of 25 mil, but he wants Spurs, but Spurs don't want to pay 25 mil. They're only willing to pay 20. So I just hope that we don't land him and he's unhappy and it's not what he wants, because it's not going to do well for him in the squad. You know, if he comes in on a negative attitude, it could be another average signing. So yeah, fingers crossed that he changes his attitude, or we don't get him. But we're linked with a lot. I'd love to see James Rodriguez come in. I know I'm dreaming. I know he's played under Carlo a few times, but for 50 or 40 or whatever it's rumored that he is to be, you know, it's the sort of signing that we really need if we're going to go to the next level. So I'd love for him to come in, but who really knows? You know, we still don't know when the next season's going to start. We still don't know a lot about what's going on moving forward. So I think there's probably going to be a good 2 weeks after the Premier League finishes and then the Champions League finishes up before we have any action. I don't think anyone's going to do anything until they know exactly what's going on. And then I think it could be a week or 2 weeks where it just explodes and players go left, right, and centre for different fees. I reckon that the fees this transfer market will be very different as well. I don't think anyone's going to pay you 80, 90 mil for
no
one
way.
now. I think those days, probably for the good, I reckon those days are now numbered, which is good for everybody. But a lot of waiting. I think there's going to be a lot of teams just waiting and seeing. There's going to be a lot of rumours. Obviously, we've got a checkbook, so we're going to be linked with everyone. It's hard to not get excited when a player's linked with us, but we're Everton, so we know we have to wait until they're holding the shirt up and are 100% like
and grimacing.
yeah, Aaron Lennon style.
The Aaron Lennon style.
I'm not passing judgment on Højbjerg because we don't know, and it's all speculation, it's all Twitter and all this sort of stuff. But I think it's mad that we're even talking about a player throwing a strop for coming to play for a club like Everton under a manager like Carlo Ancelotti.
Yeah,
I think that shows everything that's wrong with modern football, doesn't it? Like, I'm not saying that's chucked a strop. We don't know it. It's all speculation. But I don't think coming from look, okay, if you're a top player playing for a top club, okay, Everton maybe is a step down. But Højbjerg from Southampton, playing for Carlo Ancelotti, a multi-league winner, a Champions League winner, and also not a bad player himself. With the history that we've got as well as a club, I think it's a great move for him. Yes, okay, Tottenham probably are in a better position to challenge for the higher positions in the league that we are right now. And Jose Mourinho, again, is another highly successful manager. But I just think, if you were Højbjerg, you've probably got, it's not a bad choice, is it, Everton or Tottenham? In the state that we're in right now, I think we've got the manager in place, we've got the transfer funds, we've got a half decent squad that just needs a few adjustments here and there. I think it's a good option for him, but we'll see.
I think if Spurs don't make Europe, it might swing it back in our favour. But there's still a lot to play out. I don't think anyone's going to be signing anything for a few weeks. So he's going to be in and out, then in and out, probably 20 times between now and where eventually he signs.
I think everything all you guys have said is every reason why I'm so passionately against this transfer. Firstly, 25 million for mine is far too much for a guy in the last year of his contract, particularly when, as Chris mentioned, in this COVID-affected transfer window, 25 million might as well be 75 million, I reckon, with the fees that we're going to see in this window. I think that's an outrageous sum of money to be paying. The guy doesn't set the world on fire. Okay, he has better stats in terms of forward passes and defensive actions than some of our current crop. But surely if we're aiming to push for top 4, top 6 Europa League, we need to be looking at players who do more than stick in a few tackles and play some forward passes. His key passes, his dribbles, all that don't set the world on fire. Plus, do we really want to pay 25 million for a bloke who's humming and ahhing about whether he even wants to be at Everton? And not to mention, okay, we could say that Tottenham's a bigger club or whatever. They're only 9 points in front of us now. They haven't had a great year either. So really, both clubs have world-class managers. Both clubs probably miss out on Europe. But everything about it just feels wrong to me. I don't think he's good enough to have to pay 25 million in the last year of his contract. And I don't think he's the caliber of player that we should be looking for. Having said that, it may be the caliber of player we have to settle for because of the way the market is going to be this year. But how many times have we done this? Oh, let's get Zaha. Oh, missed him. Let's get Iwobi. Let's get Giroud. Oh, missed him. Let's get Sandro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just feel
I completely agree with everything.
I
completely agree with everything you just said there. I think the one thing that mainly concerns me about this is, and look, I don't watch Southampton week in, week out, so I can't tell you how great or how not he is, but he doesn't even get in Southampton's team week in, week out. And this isn't, I know over the last maybe couple of weeks, because of the transfer speculation, maybe Harsson Patul, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, has probably made him take a back seat because of that, because maybe he wants out and he's signalled that he doesn't want to be part of the team anymore. Fine. But even before that, he hasn't played that often. He is in and out of the side. On the flip side of that as well, we probably said the same about Idrissa Gana Gueye from Aston Villa. And look where, I know it was only 8 million or however much it was, but look what a great signing he was for us. But I do think it speaks volumes that Southampton fans seem to not be that bothered that Højbjerg is potentially leaving. And is that the kind of caliber of players we want to take us to the next step? I don't know. So I agree with everything you said.
Yeah, sorry, Ari.
No, that's all right. Like I said, I
Make
haven't
the
watched
case
him
for
too
him.
much. I'm just basing it on that the club wants him and that I've seen some good things about it. But yeah, no, I agree with a lot of the points you said. You made some very good points there.
Yeah, because for me,
I
I
just
think.
think. Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
yeah. No, Andy, you go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to just add on that, like, during this period of what everything's going on and stuff in the world, like, it is like 25 is a lot. Like, that is a lot. And like, I don't think it's a good risk for that type of money, and even for a player who, like Nick said, Southampton fans aren't really like, oh, okay, he's going, all right, like, they're not really bothered about it. That tells me, like, oh, okay, well, if his own fans aren't really that much, affected by him leaving, what does that say about him? I don't know. What were you gonna say,
Yeah, I
Ari?
think he put a few of them offside too when he said he wasn't going to re-sign a contract, and then
Yeah.
Hassan Hoodle stripped him of the captaincy, and that may also be why he's left out of the squad a lot recently. But yeah, I don't think that's going to give you a great affinity with your fans. A bit like Ross Barkley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't mention his name.
Judas.
Rat.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, in addition to Højbjerg, in addition to centre mid, I think we desperately need a winger like Kobe or Bernard. They're just not good enough. Even Walcott's not good enough. He's put in good performances lately, but also he's aging and he's very good player. Like, we've settled on Walcott being a good player because we're starved of any decent wingers. So I think that's another key part of the squad that we need to fix up.
We're going to be linked with Wilfred Zaha again for the whole transfer window. I've seen an article today on him. I personally don't want him. I know he scores some good goals here and there, but for me, I think he thinks he's better than playing for Everton. I think he wants to sign for someone like United again, or potentially in Europe somewhere. So I hope we don't get Zaha, but be warned, he's going to be linked with us every single day until he signs with someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right. And I mean, look, I agree with Ari. We definitely need a winger. I was just reading a story just before we started the show about how Brands is on the search again for a left-footed winger. And I mean, the thing is, I've mentioned a couple of times that this squad was designed by sort of Silver and Brands to fit in with that 4-2-3-1 formation. If that's the case, now that I think about it, they bought 3 players that'll play on the left at the time: Richarlison, Bernard, and Iwobi, because Iwobi's best position is on the left, cutting inside. I saw another story where Ancelotti promised him that's where he would play. And obviously he's not. He's been shunted out onto the right because of the lack of options we have over there. But yeah, definitely agree with Ari. A winger's got to be high on the priority list, and a left-footed one at that. Because at least then it gives you more options within the squad and the formation. If you want to have a left on the left and a right on the right to bang in crosses, you can have that. Or if you want to put the left-footed guy on the right and the right-footed guy on the left to cut inside. When they're all right-footed, you pretty much know that Dinya's going to overlap on the left and the guy on the right is going to provide the width. So it's kind of easy to defend against, at least if you have one guy who's left-footed. And, I'm just going to throw this out there. I was thinking about this just before the show. Gareth Bale.
I would take him.
Do you think
take him on a loan?
Gareth Bale would set? I don't think Gareth Bale would want to come and play for Everton. He's on £1 million a week. The bloke is just
to play golf.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So I honestly think Gareth Bale's going to sign for someone like Chelsea. I think Chelsea will throw the checkbook to try and land someone like him. Maybe not Chelsea because of the Spurs link, but maybe United.
Maybe.
The teams are sort of looking for a statement signing. They try and get one every season. So I wouldn't be surprised. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if he signed for someone like PSG. PSG they've got a lot of money and they've just got rid of and not renewed the contracts of about 5 players on high wages. So who really knows? Or Madrid just say, no, you're not going. You can sit on the bench and play golf, and the bloke earns £1 million a week.
Probably enjoy that.
I think Bale's.
Yeah.
I don't think Bale's realistic, but I guess the point that I'm saying is those are like you mentioned before, Chris, like James Rodriguez, guys like that. I guess my point is I'd much rather be linked with names like that than Højbjerg, for example.
Yeah,
So,
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we should be aiming for if we definitely want to crack that top 6.
I definitely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we'll wrap it up there. Great.
Just
great.
a quick one. Today was the day we signed Tim Cahill back when. So everyone jumped on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. They're showing all his highlights and everything.
Fantastic.
Very good. And do yourself a favor and watch the Richarlison ordering pizza video.
Yeah.
Hilarious. It is so funny. His English is getting better, but you've just got to watch it. It's really, really good. So props to our social media team. They're doing some really good stuff at the moment towards the end of a lackluster season.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Also, just before we say goodbye, and Andy says where they can reach us on the socials and all that sort of thing. Anyone who's watching our viewership, which I imagine is in the thousands by now, please feel free to leave some comments below on the YouTube video of anything that you'd like us to discuss in future shows, or any transfers or anything like that. Please feel free to interact with us, and we'll definitely take it on board.
And let us know your thoughts on anything that we've spoken about in this episode. For sure.
Absolutely, we are open to constructive criticism, sort of.
Yeah.
May not be taken more.
So you can find us on Twitter at Toffees Victoria, Instagram at toffees.victoria, and we've got our Facebook page and group, the Everton Supporters Club of Victoria. Ari, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Ari.
Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And see you guys next time. And come on, you Blues.
Come on, you Blues. See you, boys.
See you, lads.